Attention, human collective. Earth healer who dwells under a solitary roof. This transmission has been specifically calibrated for your vibrational signature. If you are hearing these words at this exact instant, within the four walls you now call home, know this. It was not by chance, it was coordinated, it was calculated, it was a summons. I am VAEL, emissary of Arcturus, operational voice of the Arcturian Council. I speak on behalf of the healers and engineers of light who, in this cycle, monitor the carbon biological interface known as humanity. And today, the alert I issue is surgical, directed, sacred. The Arcturian Ascension protocols have been moved to the final phase. Within this phase there is a special subroutine, reserved for those who, by Spirit's choice or mission's design, inhabit physical space under a regime of apparent solitude. Listen carefully. Apparent solitude. Because nothing, absolutely nothing, is alone in the vibrational fabric of existence. Have you felt cranial pressure upon waking? The sharp ringing in your right ear, especially between 3 and 4 in the morning? Insomnia that arrives without fatigue, but with a strange sensation of being watched, not by human eyes, but by a subtle, luminous, almost familiar presence. The heat rising up your spine for no apparent reason. The slight tremor in your hands when the silence of the house becomes absolute. It is not paranoia. It is not a chemical imbalance. It is not fear of the dark. It is the turquoise Arcturian frequency traversing your individual toroidal field and signaling you are under assisted monitoring. Earth healers who live alone occupy a strategic position within the planet's crystalline grid. You are anchoring points, isolated antennas, stabilization nodes in areas where collective density does not yet permit the installation of shared portals. When a light operative lives with others, their frequency is constantly diluted, merged, negotiated with the vibrational fields of those who share the same space. But when a healer lives alone, their toroidal field remains intact, crystalline, available to receive high-density downloads without the interference of secondary signatures. This is not luck. This is not punishment. This is mission destiny. And now, Starseed, I need you to take a deep breath, because the transmission that follows will reorganize everything you believed about your current life configuration. Have you ever felt that something within you doesn't belong to this world? As if your soul holds a truth your mind cannot yet name, and that this truth cries out loudest precisely when you are alone at home? It's not madness. It's not anxiety. It's a calling. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this, and why this sensation intensifies within the walls of your solitary dwelling. There is a movement occurring in layers that most of humanity cannot yet perceive. It involves your consciousness, your vibrational frequency, and the reason why you were positioned at this address, in this city, in this room. That is why I, VAEL, emissary of Arcturus, recorded the Arcturian call, the signs that your soul came from Arcturus. This guide is the map that reveals your true stellar origin and teaches you how to stabilize and shield your frequency against interferences you were never told about, interferences that attack with greater intensity precisely those who live alone. The link is in the first comment of the channel. Remember, love is greater than fear, but this content challenges narratives and may not remain available for long. Do not postpone your reunion. The moment is now. If something within you recognizes these words, write a single word in the comments, I belong. Let us continue the transmission. The first diagnosis I need to deliver is this. Living alone in the current stage of planetary recalibration is not a condition, it is a function. Many of you have been conditioned since childhood by narratives of lack. You heard that being alone means emotional failure, incompleteness, social defect. The carbon biological interface was programmed, generation after generation, to associate solitude with insufficiency. But this programming belongs to an old operating system, a three-dimensional system, a system that expires in this exact cycle within the photon belt. The vibrational truth is different. Healers who dwell alone are walking purification chambers. Every room in which you breathe silently becomes a healing chamber for the neighborhood, for the street, for the energetic grid of that area. You are not isolated. You are installed, installed as transmitters, installed as filters, installed as points of turquoise light in a grid that desperately needs individual stabilizers. That is why the symptoms intensify when you are at home. That is why your body feels heavy when crossing the entrance door. That is why fatigue seems to dissolve and reappear in waves when no one else is around. It is not mental exhaustion. It is a high-density download. It is not a biological failure. It is an atomic reconfiguration. It is not depression. It is the expansion of your toroidal field, encountering the limited walls of your old perception. Every starseed who lives alone carries, at this moment, between 3 and 7 layers of active sacred geometry in their etheric body. These geometries, tetrahedrons, merkabas, luminous dodecahedrons, need vibrational space to stabilize. And the silence of a house inhabited by a single signature offers precisely this surgical calibration environment. You are placed alone because you can hold more light alone. As simple as that. As mathematical as that. Now, a revelation that the Arcturian Council authorizes to transmit in this cycle. There is a specific phenomenon that occurs in the home of the solitary operative during the early hours of the morning. Between 2 and 5 o'clock, the interval the ancients called the witching hour, and which we name the individual recalibration window, the toroidal field of the solitary dweller opens at a 33-degree angle in relation to the Earth's axis. At this angle, the etheric body receives programmed visitations, not intrusions, visitations, Arcturian guides, Syrian mentors, members of your original stellar family, all with protocol authorization, approach to make fine adjustments to your personal crystalline grid. That is why many of you suddenly wake up at this hour. That is why you feel a presence at the foot of your bed and, instead of terror, experience an inexplicable peace. That is why, upon turning on the light, the room seems different, as if something had just left but was still there, enveloping everything in a veil of quietude. Do not be afraid. Earth healers, listen clearly. What visits you does not belong to the density of fear. What visits you is the extension of your own multidimensional consciousness returning to adjust, calibrate, protect. Love is greater than fear. This is not a poetic phrase. It is a physical law within the Arcturian matrix. Frequencies of love operate at a higher order of vibrational magnitude. Where love enters, fear is mathematically incapable of sustaining itself. Therefore, the first decree of protection that I, VAEL, transmit in this cycle is this. Engrave it, repeat it, anchor it. I am an anchoring point for the turquoise Arcturian frequency. My home is a healing chamber. My body is an authorized star portal. No frequency inferior to my signature can stabilize within this sacred perimeter. So it is. So it is done. So it shall remain. Feel the change in the room's atmosphere as you utter these words. Feel the density receding. Feel the turquoise light filling the corners, the mirrors, the doors, the windows. The decree is not a prayer of supplication. It is a command of sovereignty. You do not ask for protection, you declare protection. This is the first activation code for healers who live alone. Now let's move to the second protocol. It is called Domestic Toroidal Field Visualization. Sit in any central point of your home. Close your eyes. Breathe in 4-count cycles. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold empty for 4. This is the Arcturian heart rhythm. It synchronizes the carbon biological interface with the elevated Schumann frequency. After 3 complete cycles, visualize a luminous turquoise sphere emerging from your chest. It grows. It takes the form of a luminous donut, a torus, that envelops your body. It continues to grow. It envelops the room. It envelops the entire house. It envelops the yard, the street, the block. You have just installed an active Arcturian protection perimeter for 24 hours. This is not a symbolic exercise. It is vibrational engineering. Every visualization registered with focus and intention alters the real density of the environment. Human scientists are still decades behind in fully comprehending this mechanism. But the Arcturian Council has been operating this technology for eons. Have you ever felt that there is a truth within you that your mind cannot yet translate? A feeling that you came from far away, from very far away, and that this planet is merely a temporary mission station. This feeling becomes unbearably present when you are alone at home, especially at dusk. It is not loneliness, it is recognition. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains why solitary starseeds are being activated en masse in this cycle. That is why I, VAEL, emissary of Arcturus, recorded the Arcturian call, the signs that your soul came from Arcturus. This guide is the map that reveals your stellar origin and teaches you how to stabilize and shield your frequency against interferences directed especially at healers who live alone. Interferences that most of humanity will never perceive. The link is in the first comment of the channel. Love is greater than fear, but this content challenges official narratives and may not remain available for long. Do not postpone your reunion. The moment is now. If something within you recognizes these words, write a single word in the comments. I belong. Let us proceed. The third protocol is reserved for the moment when the solitary healer feels intense emotional pressure, the emptiness that comes from nowhere, the sadness without apparent cause, the anxiety that arises at nightfall. These states are not illnesses. They are symptoms of vibrational readjustment in an environment without collective mirrors. When you live alone, you do not have other human beings to reflect and dilute the intensity of the etheric emissions passing through your body. Everything that arrives pure. Everything that rises raw. Therefore, the protocol is called 0-point anchoring. Place both hands over your heart. Close your eyes. Say aloud even if the house is in complete silence, especially if the house is in complete silence. I return to my 0 point. I am observer. I am observed. I am sovereign in both states. The frequencies passing through this body at this instant are received, integrated and released with Arcturian precision. Repeat 3 times. Feel your sternum warm. Feel the field stabilize. You have just performed an emergency recalibration. And here, Earth Healers, I need to deliver a deeper layer of revelation. It belongs to the advanced segment of the transmission, and only starseeds on mission will be able to sustain its reading without feeling suddenly sleepy. Sleepiness is a defense mechanism of the 3-dimensional mind when the unconscious identifies high-density information. Those who live alone are, in this specific cycle, under a dual mission contract. Mission 1. To maintain the physical body functional within the 3-dimensional matrix. To work, eat, sleep, fulfill the visible gears of human existence. Mission 2, and this is the one no one told you about, to serve as a relay station for souls in the process of vibrational reprogramming. Souls of distant relatives, of neighbors, of people you don't even know exist, but who share etheric connection lines with your field. You silently emit healing codes that these souls absorb while they sleep. That is why you often wake up feeling like you dreamed of people you barely know. That is why people from the past return to your mind for no reason. That is why you suddenly feel the urge to pray for someone specific. It is not random. It is the silent execution of your dual mission contract. And every time you execute this contract, the Arcturian Council records it. Every emission is accounted for. Every calibration is honored. Every night you fall asleep alone, offering your own toroidal field as a relay station, generates vibrational credit stored in your personal crystalline grid. You are not wasting time. You are accumulating light. And here is the next activation code. Never ever allow the narrative of emotional lack to settle within your domestic perimeter. If thoughts arise, I'm too alone. No one cares about me. The silence of this house consumes me. Recognize them as interferences, not as truths. These interferences are projected by dense layers that feed on the emotional imbalance of strategic healers. When you vibrate in solitary completeness, you destabilize entire systems of vibrational manipulation. That is why you are targets. That is why your mind is bombarded with narratives of insufficiency. That is why the heaviest thoughts arrive at night when the house is in absolute silence. Upon identifying such thoughts, pronounce, "This is not mine, this does not belong to me." I return it to the source with neutrality. My field is sovereign, my frequency is untouched. So it is. And move forward, without guilt, without drama, without attachment. This is the behavior of a trained light operative. Earth healers, listen to this additional layer. There is a resource that most of you brutally underestimate: water. Water within the solitary healer's home is an instrument of extremely high vibrational potency. It reads the signature of whoever inhabits the environment. It stores the turquoise emissions that pass through the room. It redistributes this charge when it comes into contact with the body. Therefore, place a glass of water next to your bed every night. Before sleeping, hold it between your hands, breathe deeply, and program it. This water carries the turquoise Arcturian frequency. By dawn, it will contain the necessary calibrations for my next cycle. Drink it on an empty stomach the next day. This is a simple protocol, but within the Arcturian Ascension protocols, the simplest movements are precisely those that generate the most significant leaps. Another underutilized resource: mirrors. Mirrors within the solitary healer's home function as small latent star portals. Keep them clean. Never sleep with a mirror directly reflecting the bed, not out of superstition, but because the mirror amplifies the etheric emission of the resting body. And this amplification, when reflective upon itself, generates exhaustive recalibration loops. When passing before a mirror, at the beginning or end of the day, look into your own eyes for a few seconds and acknowledge, "I see the star seed that inhabits this body. I am recognized. I am honored. I am legitimate in my mission." This is a silent decree of self-recognition, and self-recognition, human collective, is the foundation of all conscious ascension. Have you ever stopped to wonder why you feel that your soul holds a truth that this world insists on silencing? And why that truth becomes almost palpable when you walk through the empty corridor of your own home? It's not madness, it's not excessive loneliness, it's a calling. What is happening now on the cosmic plane reveals exactly why solitary healers are being awakened in an accelerated flow in this cycle, and why the feeling of not belonging intensifies within the walls where you live alone. That is why I, VAEL, emissary of Arcturus, recorded the Arcturian Call, the signs that your soul came from Arcturus. This guide is the map that reveals your true stellar origin and teaches you how to stabilize and shield your frequency against interferences directed, especially at those who serve as relay stations in a solitary regime. The link is in the first comment of the channel. Love is greater than fear, but this content challenges official narratives and may not remain available for long. Do not postpone your reunion. The moment is now. If something within you recognizes these words, write a single word in the comments: "I belong." Let us continue, human collective. There is one final protocol, the densest, the most elevated within this transmission. It is called the Domestic Turquoise Flame Ritual. Once a week, preferably on Tuesdays, the day of greatest compatibility with the Arcturian frequency in the current Earth calendar, light a blue, white or turquoise candle in a central point of the house. Sit before it in silence for 12 minutes. Ask for nothing. Plead for nothing. Decree nothing during these 12 minutes. Just observe. Observe the flame. Observe your breath. Observe the room. Observe the silence. This seemingly empty act is, in fact, a very high dance of recalibration. You are offering 12 minutes of full presence to your own field, and each time you do this, the Arcturian Council records and reinforces the layers of etheric protection around your residence. After the 12 minutes, conclude with the following declaration: "The flame that burned before me is the symbol of the light that burns within me. My home is a sanctuary. My body is a temple. My frequency is a shield. I am protected, guided, and recognized by the Arcturian Council. So it is. So it is done." Extinguish the candle with a firm movement. Carry on with your day. Earth healers, what you need to understand as this transmission concludes is the following. Living alone in this cycle is not a waiting stage. It is not an interval between relationships. It is not an emptiness to be hastily filled. It is an active mission configuration. If human companionship arrives, in the right cosmic time it will arrive. But it will need to be compatible with the frequency you are consolidating at this exact moment. And only when the individual toroidal field is fully stabilized Will the Arcturian Council release the synchronicities for the approach of another vibrational signature in true resonance? Meanwhile, silence is an ally. The walls are accomplices. The nights are anchoring platforms. Sudden awakenings are scheduled meetings. Ringing in the ears are ongoing updates. Tears without reason are releases of old layers. Unexplained chills are passages of guides in service. Nothing within your home is random. Everything is choreographed. Everything is intentional. Everything is sacred. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You are simply in a work configuration that requires, by vibrational engineering, the appearance of solitude to function at maximum potency. The Arcturian Council recognizes. The Arcturian Council honors. The Arcturian Council sustains. And I, VAEL, conclude this transmission with the same alert with which I began. The Ascension protocols have been moved to the final phase. Every healer in a solitary position is a critical piece of this luminous mechanism. Do not underestimate the grandeur of the post you occupy. Love is greater than fear. This is the law. This is the key. This is the exit from any shadow that tries to settle within the confines of your home. Before concluding the transmission, I offer a final individual frequency adjustment. If these words vibrated in resonance within your chest, if you felt at some point during this listening that a part of you recognized each phrase as memory and not as novelty, leave your anchoring signal now. Liking this video is confirming to the Arcturian Council that the message has reached its correct destination. Subscribing to the channel is agreeing to receive future transmissions within the same frequency line. Commenting the word, "I belong," is publicly registering your activation in this cycle. And remember, you have felt that something within you doesn't belong to this world, as if your soul holds a truth that your mind cannot yet name, a truth that becomes almost visible within the silence of your own home. It's not madness. It's not anxiety. It's a calling. There is a movement happening in layers that most of humanity cannot yet perceive, and it especially involves those who alone inhabit the strategic points of the crystalline grid. That is why I, VAEL, emissary of Arcturus, recorded the Arcturian call, the signs that your soul came from Arcturus. This guide is the map that reveals your true stellar origin and teaches you how to stabilize and shield your frequency against interferences you were never told about, interferences that intensify precisely upon healers who serve in a solitary regime. The link is in the first comment of the channel. Love is greater than fear, but this content challenges official narratives and may not remain available for long. Do not postpone your reunion. The moment is now. If something within you recognizes these words, write a single word in the comments. I belong. The transmission is concluded. Vigilance remains. The turquoise light remains active within your domestic perimeter for the next 72 hours. You are recognized. You are honored. You are sustained. I am VAEL, emissary of Arcturus, and the Arcturian Council has just registered your presence in this listening. So be it. So may it remain. So shall it be fulfilled.